Hi, this is Richard Chamberlain, and welcome back to the Protecting Your Family's Future podcast. This is episode number 29, and today we're going to be talking about estate planning if you have minor children. Now, if you are a parent of minor children, you know you need to do some kind of an estate plan. You've probably thought about, well, we need to do a will so that we can name guardians who can take care of our child or our children if something happens to us. And certainly that is an important part of the plan, because you need to know that the right people are going to be taking care of your children if you cannot do it. But there, of course, is the other side of the issue, and that is leaving them your estate. So typically you think, well, we need to do a will, and in that will we're going to leave everything to each other. If you're married, leave everything to the surviving spouse, but if the spouse is not living, then we'll leave it to the children. What you get in that situation if you have minor children is you have the assets going into a guardianship of the estate. So a person who's under the age of 18 is not legally able to manage their own assets and financial affairs. So a guardian is appointed by the probate court to manage the assets for them under the supervision of the court. And the guardian becomes the person who is managing the funds and spending the funds, but is only spending the funds that the court approves. Each year, an accounting has to be filed with the probate court showing what was spent, all the receipts and verifications of all the expenditures are made, and the court needs to review and approve that. It's a very cumbersome and a very expensive process, and it goes on year after year. When the child turns 18, they are now no longer incompetent to manage their own financial affairs in the eyes of the law, and so the guardianship at that point terminates, and you have whatever those assets were being turned over to an 18-year-old. So for a lot of people, that prospect is not ideal. Of course, they would rather, not have their children receiving an inheritance that young anyway, but certainly they wouldn't want to have the assets being distributed to them solely in their control when they are 18 years old. So a solution to that is, instead of leaving the assets to your children, you have the assets in a trust for your children. When we've been talking about trusts in this podcast, one of the things that we talk about is the trust is able to protect your beneficiaries. And that's so important, especially when we're talking about young or vulnerable beneficiaries. We can have a trust set up for them. Someone that you trust can manage the assets for the children. And if we have it in a trust, it doesn't go into a guardianship for them. So it's now not subject to the probate court's supervision and oversight, control. The trustee, someone that you've selected, is going to make the distributions for what your children need. And instead of the money being distributed to them when they turn 18, you can design your trust to instead instruct the trustee to continue to make distributions for what your children need beyond age 18. So the trustee can pay for things like college and living expenses, medical expenses, until they turn 21, 23, 25, 35. You can put whatever age in there that you want, so that someone that you've chosen is making the decisions about what's going to be in your children's best interest in terms of the spending of the money, until they would reach an age where you would hope that they are old enough to make those decisions on their own. So having a trust is really the way that we make sure that the estate plan that's going to take care of your minor children will do so in a way so that they won't get any money too soon. So if you have any questions about how trusts work with an estate plan, if you have minor children, we've got a lot of resources on our website, and we can link to those in the show notes. If you have questions and you want to talk to one of our attorneys about setting up your own estate plan, you can, again, request an appointment right through our website. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and we'll see you again next week.